When this franchise chooses audacity, the league doesn't get an alert. It gets a headache. Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report. I'm walking you straight into the room where this thing makes basketball sense, cap sense, and culture sense. I'm going to lay out why the roster builders circled one specific skill package, how it changes the geometry of our offense without breaking what already works, where the minutes come from, what it costs in picks and paper, the risks I'm not going to sugarcoat, and the upside that sounds like June. Stay with me to the end, because I'll hold the headline until the moment it matters. Once you see the logic, the reveal won't sound like clickbait. It'll sound like the next right step. Start with who we are when we're honest. At our best, Golden State isn't a shot chart. It's an ecosystem. Split cuts that look harmless until the second step, ghost screens that booby-trap help, dribble handoffs that aren't handoffs at all but invitations to make a bad choice. Steph remains the sun. His gravity bends help in time, but even stars need constellations that make the sky make sense. Since the KD years, we've been looking not for a copy-paste savior, but for the right co-engine, someone who can produce clean points when Steph sits for 6 minutes and amplify him when he plays for 34. Not another celebrity name. A pressure valve with range, pace, and late-clock guts who slides into the Kerr playbook and turns the math cruel. That's why this is happening. It's the intersection of need and availability, of a front office that refuses to chase stunts and a coaching staff that knows exactly what a certain kind of guard does in this system. I promised you a roadmap. So here's the promise. I'm going to show you the basketball first. Sets. Reads, spacing, rolls, then the rotations and minute stacks. Then the defensive plan to protect the paint without asking for miracles. Then the contract engineering that allows the move to exist under the new CBA without setting fire to tomorrow. And finally, the risk ledger the team is willing to live with because the upside is that loud. If you ride with me, by the time we hit the end, you'll feel the same calm I do right now. Let's talk game inside the game. Picture our base, 21 delay into a split. Draymond at the top, Steph slips to the wing, the weak side wing lifts, the big dives late. Now insert a guard who lives comfortably at 3 different altitudes. Catch and shoot from NBA range without dipping the ball, live dribble pull-up from the slot at the elbow nail, and the floater range that kills drop coverage when the big is stuck between 2 problems. That guard doesn't just fit, he weaponizes the second side. On the first swing, if the nail digs to Steph, the new guard attacks the top foot, 2 dribbles, in-rhythm pull, or hit the pocket when Draymond short rolls. If the defense overplays the pass, we flow into a rescreen, and the guard fires off the dribble before the help can tag. Same action, different decision tree, same misery for the back line. Now picture the Spain stack we love against switching teams. Steph screens the roller's man, the new guard handles, Draymond short rolls to the dotted line, and the back screener pops. If the low man stunts, it's a skip. If he stays home, it's a free throw line catch for Dre with a shooter lifting. You don't need 3 playbooks when your 2 best guards can both bend the middle of the floor and punish indecision with pace. The tempo matters. With this piece, the second unit doesn't turn into survival mode. It becomes a smaller mirror of the starters. When Steph sits, we can still manufacture points without praying for transition. Drag screens up 45, early offense into pistol, empty side pick and roll so there's no low man to tag, quick hitting actions that ask, who's your worst helper? And then make him answer in public. That reduces the cold stretches that turn road games sideways and gives our defense time to breathe. It also changes the way opponents sub. If they were saving their best on-ball defender for Steph's minutes, now they have to choose which poison to drink. Defensively, I'm not selling superhero capes, I'm selling structure. The new CBA punishes teams that lie to themselves. The floor must be good enough that the ceiling is worth the price. The incoming guard is not a point-of-attack banshee. He is, however, teachable in angles, competitive at the catch, and strong enough to play a scheme answer instead of a solo. That means ice the side pick and roll to shove ball handlers into the baseline help, top lock certain shooters to deny the easy catches, pre-switch with Wiggins to keep the big off an island, scram early on the mismatch so Draymond is the last voice, not the first bandage, and show occasional zone looks to kill rhythm. With proper stunt and recover, you don't need a shutdown corner. You need 5 guys who know which door is unlocked and how to slam it. If he does his job, do the work early, don't die on screens, tackle in space. The back line takes care of the rest. Now minutes and names. The part you ask me for every time, because rotation is where theory becomes scoreboard. Opening group looks like this on most nights. Steph on ball and off ball interchangeably. The new guard as the second conductor, toggling between handler and spacer. Wiggins as the on-ball wing stopper who eats the toughest assignment and runs the wing in transition. Draymond as the DHO hub and coverage captain, and the 5-spot toggled by matchup between the verticality and angles of Kevon Looney and the quick jump explosiveness of Trace Jackson Davis. That group buys you 2 things immediately. A second shooter who must be respected 2 steps behind the arc, and a second pick-and-roll operator who can keep the offense alive if teams deny Steph touches. Off the bench, Podziemski becomes your connective tissue. Extra passes, gap drives, smart tags. Moody soaks up 3-and-D wing minutes with an appetite for the corners. Gary Payton III eats specialist assignments to blow up sets. And Gui Santos or another big wing absorbs rotation minutes when we need length. The point is not forcing square pegs. The point is variety without confusion. Here's where your eyebrows go up because you know what this sounds like. Late clock, you stop running plays and start building advantages. Steph lifts from the corner into a DHO. The new guard slips behind the show and gets the catch on the move, or vice versa. If the big stays in a drop, it's a free pull-up. If he steps up, it's a short roll you cannot guard with a small. End of games where champions separate? The 2-guard stack is cruelty. You can't blitz both. You can't switch both if the screener is Draymond and the spacing is honest. You can't live in single coverage without accepting a steady diet of 1.2 points per possession. This is not theory. It's hours of tape and reps that turn panic into poise. Let me talk to the 50-plus crowd directly for a second. The folks who lived Run TMC We Believe and every iteration since. This isn't about highlights. It's about feeling calm in the 4th quarter because the shot you need is one you can get without a miracle. That's what this adds. If that lands with you, hit the like so the algorithm stops thinking every fan only wants jersey swaps and starts feeding them actual basketball. Now the cost, the contracts, the new CBA landmines. Under the apron rules, you don't find space. You solve puzzles. This move lives because we're willing to send out real money to bring real money in, not hide dollars in the couch. No aggregation gimmicks, no fantasy cap tricks, matching salaries, future equity that feels like a punch to the gut because it should, and a front office that values tomorrow enough to make sure today doesn't borrow from it irresponsibly. The incoming guard's contract runs multiple seasons at starter money, which means you do this only if the on-court fit pays dividends immediately and the room absorbs him without friction. The deal structure protects flexibility later. No booby-trap years that choke you when Steph is still Steph. And because we live in the grown-up end of the cap table, the guard's age and durability profile matter. You don't stack brittle on fragile, you stack reliable on reliable. Risk ledger. Because I don't duck it. Health. Guards who shoot a lot and handle a lot take contact. You need a smart minutes plan, a conditioning standard he buys, and a schedule that respects the stretch run ramp. Defense. Point of attack isn't going to turn into GP2 overnight. The scheme has to do its job and the player has to commit to the ugly stuff. Screen navigation, second efforts, no gambles from bad angles. Ball. The ball is still Steph's. And the new guard has to love playing next to gravity rather than trying to be gravity. If there's ego, it has to be competitive, not corrosive. Locker room, the room here is strong, the voices are clear, and the bar is set. Come in, match the standard, and add your own edge without asking the banners to bend. You've waited long enough. Let me walk you over the hinge moment the way the building felt it. 2 phones, same call sheet, same conclusion. The roster needs another shotmaker who can live in our tempo. The board narrowed to a handful of names, but only one married off-the-dribble shot creation, quick decisions in small spaces, late clock calm, and the pace and space IQ to thrive inside this motion machine. The doctors signed off, the coaches signed off, the money found its match, and the locker room leaders gave the nod. Golden State has moved for Tyler Herro. Sit with that calmly. Not as a rumor, but as a basketball idea that makes sense. Herro is not a Durant replacement. He's a co-conductor who fits this exact offense. He catches ready, his feet are quiet, his release is high and quick, and he has the rare feel to function as the second side engine without turning the ball into glue. He's a career-high 30s three-point shooter with catch-and-shoot numbers that stretch the defense 2 steps beyond comfort, and his pull-up from the slot is a get-out-of-jail card when possessions go sideways. He operates cleanly in handoffs, can snake a pick and roll without coughing up the angle, and his floater forces bigs to think twice about camping in the paint. End of quarters, end of games. This is a guard who doesn't hear ghosts. That matters in May, but let's tell the truth about why this isn't just more scoring. Herro's presence rescues the Steph-on, Steph-off split without turning the offense into an entirely different sport when 30 sits. We can run the same language. Pistol into twist, delay into slip, Spain into stack and slip out, keep the same spacing, keep the same reads, and let a second trained decision-maker read the same map. That keeps everyone else in their lanes. Wiggins doesn't have to be something he isn't. Draymond doesn't have to force creation when he should be orchestrating. And the 5 can roll and dunk instead of catching in traffic and inventing. For Podziemski and Moody, this is graduate school. Learn to play off 2 conductors. Keep the ball ahead of the defense. Attack closeouts under control. And read the second defender, not your own man. Defense, the plan, not the wish. Herro's job is to do the work early, take good angles on screens, talk through switches, and compete at the catch. We will protect him with scheme, without hiding him like a secret. Top lock some shooters and pre-switch with Wiggins to keep the biggest bodies off him. Scram him out of the post with Draymond calling the eject. Ice the side action so he's funneling drives into help, and Toggle Zone looks after timeouts to erase play calls. The goal isn't perfect. It's predictable. If the defense knows where the help is and when to come, the mistakes get smaller and the rebounds get cleaner. Let's get surgical for the film junkies, because you deserve it. Action 1, Horns flare re-screen. Draymond catches at the elbow. Steph uses the flare and rejects the re-screen. Herro lifts from the corner to the slot. If the help tags Steph, Herro is 1 pass away for a rhythm 3. If they stay home on Herro, Steph flows downhill into a 2-on-1 with the roller. If the weak side X out comes early, it's a quick ping to the corner for the shooter lifting from dunker. All 3 outcomes are clean shots. Action 2, Chicago action into Spain. Herro as handler, Steph as the back screener, Trace as the roller, Draymond spaced at the break. If they switch, we slip and post the mismatch. If they fight through, Herro gets to the elbow pull-up with a screen behind him that eats contests. Action 3, empty corner pick and roll with Herro rejecting into a quick re-screen, so there is no low man on the tag, and the pocket pass is a layup if the big steps up. These are not vanity plays. They are quarter savers, road silencers, momentum flippers. You know the feeling when the building goes quiet on the road? This is how you get it. I've danced around the human piece because I wanted to prove the ball first, but culture is the battery. This room is built on communication and accountability. The jokes are good because the work is hard. Herro lands in a place where your shot diet is earned by your practice diet, where your voice has weight if your stunts have timing, where your nickname comes after your film session. He's coming into a space with Steph's calm, Draymond's edge, and a coaching staff that blends teaching with ruthless standards. If he wants to be great here, the floor is laid out for him. Show up early, stay late, talk on defense, sprint after you shoot, and accept that your best nights feel normal because the process is right. Before we land, hit the comments right now with your read. Don't wait until the timeline tells you what to think. Are you in on Herro as the co-engine, knowing the price in assets and the work required on defense, or would you have waited out a different profile? Tell me how you'd stack the closing 5 in a 1-possession game and who sits based on matchup. I'm reading it all, and this community's eye for details is sharper than half the national shows. Here's my concise verdict, the one-line clarity you can carry into tomorrow with your coffee. Tyler Herro in the Bay is a basketball idea that pays off in the 2 places that separate contenders from stories, Steph-off minutes and fourth quarters. The cap math is tight but responsible. The defensive plan is credible if he commits. And the rotation depth survives because we aren't pretending he's something he isn't. If he leans into the ugly work and we keep the spacing honest, this move doesn't just make highlights, it makes wins. If the bumps show up early, missed tags, late rotations, trust the tape and the staff. Fixes live in effort and reps, not wishful thinking. My vote, this is a yes rooted in film, not fantasy. Drop your take below so the rest of the fan base hears real talk instead of rumor noise, and if you want these breakdowns first and fast, subscribe and hit the bell. I'll keep you ahead of the spin with clean basketball, clear numbers, and the truth about how the Warriors actually win when the lights are hottest.